Warning, this content may be upsetting or disturbing to some audiences. Both men in the front seat were completely decapitated. Truckers, what is something you have witnessed driving at night that gave you chills? Many years ago I was on what is called a meet and turn. This is where a driver that is domiciled out of one city will drive a load halfway to its destination, while a driver domiciled out of that destination will drive halfway with a load that is destined for my city. We meet in a parking lot, switch trailers and drive back home. I had been on this run for a few months and found that I always got to the meet point about an hour before the other driver. It was a dark and empty dirt lot at about 3 a.m., so I would stretch out across the seat and take a short nap. One night, about 10 minutes into my nap, I was awoken by a barking dog. I tried to ignore it, but it carried on for several minutes and got louder as the dog got closer. Soon, it became apparent that the dog was right outside of my truck barking at me. Okay, either this dog is Lassie and is trying to alert me to something, or else he is just a pain and I will need to throw something at him to scare him off. It is important to note that the barking had been going on for a good 10 minutes at this point. So, I sat up and looked out my window. Standing there, mere inches on the other side of the glass, was a man of about 35. He was a large fellow, and was barking at me. His eyes were crazy and he was frothing at the mouth a little. The scene really held my full attention for a moment. The sheer creepiness of this struck me. Gently, and making an absolute minimum of sudden movements, I reached down and started my truck and slowly pulled away. He chased me, much like you might expect an angry dog to do, barking all the while. Needless to say, it played hell with my power naps from then on. A friend who is a truck driver told me this one. He was driving through the edge of some bushland on his way back to Perth, Western Australia, when he hit a kangaroo. He stopped the truck, grabbed his knife, in case he needed to dispatch it, his flashlight, and got out. He went over to the kangaroo. It needed to be dispatched, as it was alive and in immense pain, but he got this weird feeling that he was being watched. He flashed his light around and saw dozens of pairs of red eyes watching him. The whole mob of kangaroos was just standing there watching him kill one of their mates. Kangaroos have red eye shine. He quickly dispatched the kangaroo, bolted back to his truck, and took off. He said it was the creepiest thing he had ever seen on the road. Where do you want me to start? I'll stick with a story from when I was straight and sober. Coming back from Kununurra, very northern town in Western Australia, to Perth one night. Seen no one else on the road for hours, but every now and then, on a long straight, I could see a set of tail lights in the distance. All of a sudden, there's the tail lights, attached to a trailer that stopped dead in the middle of the road. I slammed on the brakes and swerved around it. And that's when I realized that the truck, towing 3 trailers, had run off the road into the only large tree for miles. If not for how this ended, I'd laughed my butt off at the irony. I pulled forwards, off the road, and jumped out. My co-driver, who'd been asleep, but got thrown out of the bunk when I slammed on the brakes, was already calling emergency services. As I got to the back of my 3rd trailer, wisps of smoke started from under the cab of the Volvo wrapped around the tree. I raced back, grabbed a fire extinguisher and was running towards the wreck when I heard a groan from the ditch, about 10 meters in front of the wreck. The driver had been thrown clean through the windscreen, and while he was an absolute mess, at least he was alive. The Volvo was, by now, in flames. But that just gave me some light to inspect old mate for injuries. And then I heard the sound that, even now, tears me to the core. A thin, high-pitched squeal, gradually progressing into the most soul-piercing scream I've ever heard. His co-driver had also been asleep in the bunk. And with the truck wrapped around the tree, he was stuck. And I hadn't thought to fight the fire. And now some poor bastard was burning to death, trapped in a steel coffin, while I just collapsed. Impotent and broken. I still drive trucks now. It's my life. It cost me several relationships and a marriage, but I don't know anything else that I can do. I love the life, I love the freedom, and I always know that I can lose everything in the blink of an eye. But I never again, and never will, drive as a 2-up team. I could never live with killing a workmate because I messed up. Not mine but my grandfather's. One night after completing his water delivery, he stops at a roundabout to let the other car go through, but it doesn't, and soon people hop out with knives and tools and they yell at him to cut the engine and to hop out of the truck. He guns it, smashing their car out of the way, and goes around the roundabout and drives to the nearest police station and tells them what happens. He thinks they were trying to steal the bulldog from his truck, because the only way to get it is to steal it or buy a Mack truck. Tori, not a trucker, but I work as a customer service rep for a trucking company in Omaha. Two stories that come to mind. Both are quite serious. The first one happened about a year or two before I started. One of our local Omaha drivers was grabbing a load from the Council Bluffs rail and headed towards downtown 13th Street. A woman had stepped out in front of his truck and she was killed instantly. Investigators had later found a suicide note she had written shortly before our driver hit her. The driver was a new guy and he quit immediately after the accident. This one happened shortly after I started working there. We dispatched local and OTR drivers, and one evening, just before shutting down for the day, we start getting multiple calls from people in the California area headed west. Motorists are reporting that one of our drivers is speeding, cutting off people, not signaling, and just all around reckless driving. We managed to identify the driver in question, call him up, and the guy is inconsolable. Turns out his sister had been murdered at her apartment and he was literally racing to get back to Nebraska as fast as his truck could take him. My boss told him to park the truck immediately, and bought 2 plane tickets. One for the driver to fly back to Omaha, and another ticket to fly a volunteer out to California to pick up his truck. Short-haul driving on Northway, toward Quebec. No cell signal or sparse in that area. My cell rings. What the hell? No number, no caller on the other end. I turned off the phone. A minute later, I see this red splatter from the right lane, into the center, and then like a long drag mark, it ended in the left lane. I slowed a bit and realized, it looked like a rolled up carpet. I kept driving. About 3 kilometers ahead, there was another truck pulled over, flashers on, and driver inspecting the front. I pulled over to check on him. Sure enough, he was the one that hit the carpet, a deer as he told me. He had a push bar on his Volvo and it was covered in deer entrails and blood. Had to radio in for assistance as he said his temp went up, and there it was, a leg and hoof were literally inside the radiator fins. New York State Police troopers showed up, and I guess called in a tow truck. The look on the trooper was priceless though. He saw the carpet back down the way, and had no idea what it was, but put in call for DOT to clean up. Spit up his coffee when we showed him the deer hoof and the radiator. Kinda surreal with the blue strobes. Weirdest of all was the driver that hit that deer, said his phone rang in that same spot mine did. Then he saw the deer and tried to change lanes, no luck. Good thing no one got hurt and no one else around, that made it creepier. Ex-tow operator, got a phone call from my wife who was picking me up at 1 a.m. She calls frantic screaming, there's been an insane accident, but she only sees one car. Our shop was a block away. I get there to light it up with my emergency lights and block the scene for first responders. There's only one car. This is a 6-lane bridge that goes over the thruway. The car's engine is inside the firewall. There is no front of the car. I get out and I am talking with this guy who's in shock. I ask him, were you hurt? He says, no, I pulled over because I thought I had a flat tire. I walked around the front to look at the passenger's side, and soon as my foot hit the curb I heard a loud bang. I turned around and my car is gone. My next words are, what did you hit? He said nothing at all. Now I'm more confused and hint at the front of his car is gone. He says, nope, that's not my car. So I start looking around. There isn't a car on the road and nothing within eyesight. I can clearly see in 1/4 of a mile and there is nothing anywhere. Some lady comes walking by and he says it's her car. She's hammered as hell. Police and fire get there in for about 15 minutes, while he is looking for the car with me. Another cop radios him and says he found the car. It went over 6 lanes and a median, down then up the thruway on ramp, up a hill, through a fence, off 4 parked cars into a pole half a mile away. This things was in park. The car's rear bumper was against the front seat. Estimated her speed at 100 miles per hour and no tire marks. If he would have taken just a 1/10 of a second delay stepping on that curb he would have been beyond dead. I was off the clock but helped the police secure the scene until accident investigation showed up. Neither person was hurt and both cars were totaled. I have seen many fatal accidents as a record driver. I have never seen anything like that folks walked away from. I recovered cars and extracted accidents that were nowhere near that bad. Note that the car was in park, which doesn't mean a lot. All you have to do is break the park paw and it will roll. But to go that far, over that much stuff and mostly uphill, and her with such extensive intrusion into the car, even bent the pillars, there had to be divine intervention.